It's so wonderful to see you. Welcome to our Career Day Slam Dunk. Yeah. And so, we're going to take but first, Commissioner, Elder, Minister, Richbourgh is going to open with prayer. So, let's pray.
Thank you. Good morning, family. Good morning, family of God. As I greet you with the joy of Jesus, I'm asking you to please stand and join me in the prayer of invocation. Thank God you look bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, so we're ready. Welcome into this place. Welcome into your holy temple. You desire to abide in the praises of your people. So we lift our hands and we lift our hearts and we offer up this sacrifice of praise. Abba Father, as we welcome you into your holy temple, we thank you for allowing us to gather this morning as a Christian family. We ask you to come and sanctify this place. Sanctify it with your Holy Spirit. Lord, we ask you to bless, guide, anoint us, and use us for your glory. Bless eyes to see, ears to hear, hearts to embrace the plans that you have for each life. And then, God, guide and order, direct the footsteps as they fulfill the plan and purpose for which their lives have been created. Abba, Father, we won't fail to give you the glory because you're worthy of all honor and praise. So we give you all the honor, all the glory, all the praise, and ask you to move freely within us and among us this morning. For we thank you in the blessed name of Jesus. Hallelujah. Amen. Amen.
So again, it's so nice to see everyone here. I see some parents, and we're very happy to have the parents join us. Okay, and we have our students. Now, students, this was planned for you. At the Christian Education Commission, in our meetings, we decided to have this event because we think it is extremely important for students, especially starting with the middle school, to be thinking about careers. Now, you don't need a reminder that you are the ones, you are the future. And in the next 10 years or less, you will be taking over from us. And so, as you go through school, you want to be thinking about your future. What do I want to become in life? And so, as a result of that, we decided to plan this career day, career slam dunk, to have some professionals in to talk to you about their profession and for you to listen and see if this is what you want to do. But in addition, we also have a little aptitude test, which is what you're doing. What is an aptitude test? It's this little questionnaire that you're doing, which looks at your interests and try to determine for you what, based on your interests, what might be good careers for you. And so, this is important. We're asking you to think about this, fill out the form, and then Commissioner Gateau, later in this program, will talk to you about assessment and you know, what the results mean. We also want to plan follow-ups to this, because based on what the career choices are, what the career suggestions for you, we would like to connect you to other people in the career so that you can talk to them, have them do a presentation, and you see if this is really what you want. You also have a packet with a listing of careers, several of them, 11 pages. And we want you to have a look. These are the known ones, the more popular ones, 11 pages. Look at that and see if there are careers there. Some of them are unfamiliar to you, some are familiar. You don't have to do that now, but when you leave here, you can look at that, review that, Google those careers that you don't know, and you can always call on us. We can share information with you, because we want you to make the right choice. We don't want you to wait until you're in college or you're in higher education. You're thinking, well, is this what I want to do? And you're making changes. No, we want you to start focusing, start planning early so you can be where you want to be and be the successful individuals in our community.
Amen.
Without further ado, I am going to ask, I'm starting with these two young people. After that, you have a program, and I might say we're having some changes in the program. We're starting with these two young people. You see their names, Mr. Matthew Loyd and Miss Sara Hutchinson. They're telling you how they did it. They came through this process, came through high school, everything, graduated from college, and they're going to talk to you about how they did it and how they achieved what they have achieved. After that, there's a change. We're going to have Mr. Sean Jefferson. He's an attorney, and he will be telling you about his career. All right? And we'll take it from there. Okay? So, who wants to go first? How we did it.
Good morning, y'all. I'm Matthew. I guess first I'll introduce myself and like where I went to school, what I studied, so y'all can get an idea of like where we at. I went to Stony Brook University out on Long Island, and I'm 24, by the way. I guess true story with that. But I went to Stony Brook University out on Long Island, and I studied anthropology, and I minored in geology and digital art. And Sara.
Hi, my name is Sara Hutchinson. I'm 23. I graduated, but I got my undergrad in communication disorder and sciences at SUNY Fredonia, which is upstate New York. And right now, I'm getting my master's at Grand Canyon University online in education. So, okay, I'll continue. So, obviously, undergrad is communication disorder and sciences, which my vision was to be a speech pathologist. That's still a vision, it's just not close, but we're getting there. Right now, I'm doing education, so right now I have an opportunity of being a part of the DOE. So I'm a substitute teacher at elementary school. I teach science, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. It's going well. It's going well. High school, okay, I went to Queens Collegiate in Jamaica High School. And to be honest, in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I kind of figured things out senior year, which is okay. So I figured I wanted to do communication disorder and sciences, so I enrolled in SUNY Fredonia. SUNY Fredonia is obviously away, so that experience was different. I had to figure things out by myself, for myself. I grew up by myself. Obviously, I had my mom and dad. They were a phone call away. And now I'm back home, adjusting to being home, but I like it.
Amen.
High school, did you start in school? When did you go start? Just tell us about your school history.
High school?
Yeah, okay, all right.
So in high school, I went to Thomas Edison Career Technical Education School. It's a vocational school, so I don't know if like y'all's high schools, for those that are in high school right now, have like shop classes, or you know those that are about to go to high school. If you do want to high school with shop classes, Thomas Edison School. But My shop class was, I forgot the exact name of it, but it was like the art shop class. So that's what I did, like that was like the program that I was in for that. And you know, like high school is really a good place to start figuring out like, all right, like what are the things that you enjoy doing, right? Whether those are sports, you know, like hobbies, what, you know, subjects that you feel like you have like a good affinity for, and you know, you're good at it. Maybe you want to develop more, like you want to get deeper into those fields. So that's like a good time to, and I mean like college as well, right? Like don't think that that stops at high school, because it definitely doesn't. But like high school is like where you start getting introduced to like a lot more just things, you know, like the world. And you know, college expands even greater. When I went to college, I was a resident assistant, so I worked on campus, like in the residence halls. What other, I guess, programs? I can't really think of like educational programs off the top of my head, but what I will say, definitely for those that are in high school now, before you leave, do them college now classes. Like those are really, really, really good. That's not necessarily like a program per se, but those are classes that you can take in high school for college credit. Now, you might be thinking, oh, well, why would I want to do that? I'm not in college yet. Listen, you get to college and you in like your last or second to last year, and you gotta go to admissions, and they're like, you missing this, that many credits, or whatever. In college now, classes will save you. Like, I got saved by one of them, you know, and definitely, like, it's something that you should do. I took, like, 2 my junior year in high school. It was a lot to do at once, like 2 in 1 year, because I had, like, the earliest period was one of them, and then the latest period was one of them. I wanted to play baseball that year, too. I, like, ran track, I was doing cross country, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get fit, I'm gonna get ready for baseball season. Baseball season come around, I got, like, school all day. And it was SAT season, too, so I had the SAT courses at the end of the day after that, so I was like in school more than a teacher was in school, so yeah, that was heavy. But you know, like high school is a nice time to really take advantage of, you know, just that time and like those resources that are there because they're free. Now, remember this word, because they're free, right? When you get to college, stuff stops getting free fast. Very, very, very fast, right? So like definitely do the college now courses. Like, I guess, like, speaking on, again, like, just programs and things that I was trying to get involved in, or I was involved in like, high school, like, even from then, that stuff is really, really, really going to help you later on. And, you know, like, who doesn't want to skip class? Not skip classes as in, like, you skip and cut the class, but, like, you don't have to take the class in college if you do it in high school, you know, so that's, like, I guess, you know, to speak on that.
Well, I feel like I'm kind of the opposite. In high school, there wasn't a lot of clubs that I was invested in. They didn't really have educational clubs. I was in STEP. I call it an activity. But I would say this church actually helped a lot in terms of pushing me, adding stuff to my resume. Build up your resume. I know people look at your resume, okay? The steps. Oh, Apple step, as in, you know, like you know, steps, like dancing, stuff like that. So it wasn't really crazy. In college, I was in a group called Sister Circle. That actually was like a Black girl empowering group. Like, obviously, boys were welcome, and no matter the color, you could come in. But it really helped me to find who I am. I was lucky to be the president of that in college, so that was a major stamp on the resume. That shows like leadership skills, communication skills, and that built me to wanting to do education, wanting to be just above and beyond, above and beyond. And yeah, that's really it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Matthew and Sara. Do you have any questions for them? Any of the students? Is there anything you want to ask them? They are young people, a bit older than you are. They have gone through the process. They have gone through college. Is there anything you want to ask them? I think we have some prizes. Okay. Question?
Was it easy for anyone you to get to where you are today? Was it easy or hard?
Easier or hard?
It's still hard, right? And I don't say that to discourage you or like discourage anyone, but it's like, so I studied anthropology in school. That's what I got my degree in. Now, I do not work at all in that. I had decided when I was in school that what I wanted to do was do design and work like at some, newspaper or magazine, like doing that. I left school and, I was like, all right, I don't have to wait for, somebody to, in a suit and tie and like, maybe skin color that don't look like mine to tell me that I can do this to do it. So I created a magazine, and I have a couple copies to like give out to y'all. And, now like this is like my business. This is what I run. And again, this is not what I studied in school. To go further into the field of like anthropology, requires research, it requires a lot more time in school, and it requires a lot more money, right? Now, I don't like, not to seem discouraging with the whole that thing or like, oh, this guy is like so sad because he didn't go to grad school for anthropology. No, but like life happens, and as you're going through college and as you're even going through high school, like you're going to change. Like you will change as a person. Just depending on like the people you meet, the experiences you have, and that's the point, right, of going to college, right? It's to build you up into the person that you're going to become and like, walk through life as. And you're always constantly like, even post-college, like I graduated in 2019, so it's been like 3 years now, since I've been out of school, but like, there is so much change that's even happened in my life just within the past few years. Like I've gotten, deeper and further into my own art, right, as like an artist and that kind of work. And you're, again, like your paths and your trajectories will change. It can be difficult, right? And I think the best advice I can give, like to pass on is like, one, like believe 3,000 bajillion% in yourself, right? And what it is that like you want to do, whatever those passions are, they will carry you, right? Keep your faith in God always, right? Because He will guide you, right? And keep you on the right path and like just be there for you when you are in those places where it's like, oh man, like, it's kind of tough. And in school especially, like it's tough. Not for nothing, it's college, it's and that's not to say that it's not doable, it's very doable, we're living testaments of that, some of your parents are living testaments of that, right? Elders in the church are living testaments of that, and we all have, knowledge and information that like we can pass down, so, just stick through it. Life is life. This is life. We go through the ups and downs, but, we have fun through it all too, and you end up figuring out, I think at the end of the day, you will end up enjoying, if you're like really sticking to what it is that you really want to do, whether it's like a study or maybe a certain profession you want to get into, like really like let that passion carry you, and you'll find the avenues, or they'll even find you for, where those opportunities are. So like, I guess like I say it's like difficult, but I'm not like crying every day. Like I'm still up here, like here to talk to y'all and give that information. So just go for it.
I would say it was difficult and easy because, like I said, my undergrad is in communication disorder and sciences, and now I did not a jump, but a little step to education. So just say plans are not set in stone. Things can change, but you just have to make way with it. But just make sure when it changes, you are for sure with it. And if you're not, that's okay too. I believe you should always have a plan. That's just me. Doesn't have to be set plan, just an idea of what you want to do and what you believe you can do. Anybody can do anything.
Amen.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I just wanted to comment on what they were saying.
Okay.
I don't think. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me? Okay. I went to Stony Brook too, but I think you guys touched on a lot of good things that I'm talking to my son about. I think you mentioned time management because you was talking about being involved in sports and just working through different things. There's going to be a lot of things that you're involved with. You mentioned time management. You mentioned dedication. You mentioned planning. And I think those are all really good things that you can give to the youth and tell them that, so I really recommend you guys.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Everybody who asked a question, get in the back. I got one.
We have other things. We have some prizes here. And one of the prizes for the most participation. So we're taking stock of who are asking questions and just what you're asking. So, all right?
So my question is, you said you started your magazine. Did you have a startup cost for it, or did you just kind of start?
I just started. I was right out of, I started in 2019. So I started after I graduated college. I was all right, I studied, like I said, I minored in digital art. So, I come from an art background my entire life. So I was all right, let me see if I can get a job in this. I was doing graphic design jobs, and I was I feel like I need something that's gonna really be a nice mix of that graphic design passion that I have, but also just the passion to create. So then I just went and did it. And when it comes to for anybody that has any plans to start your own business or start anything, whether it's if you want to do a YouTube channel, you want to stream, I've been streaming on Twitch and everything, just do it. Like Nike said, just do it for real, because the way that you can get into these things, a lot of people get stuck in the space of, oh, I gotta make sure I have this, that, and the third, boom, 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 all these things so that it's perfect once you start, when you jump out, right? It's never gonna be perfect when you start. Every huge company that you know of, probably started in a garage, right, with 3 dudes, and they didn't have, maybe they had the vision for where they're at now, but it wasn't there yet, right? And there's a lot of, failure is something that is, become failure's, best friend. Not y'all homies, but, just, no, failure is gonna be around. This is what, and the athletes know this, right? You don't win every race, you don't win every single thing, but, within that, there's something that you learn that will help you get better and reach that step. I always think of it, there was this quote that Jaden Smith said back in the day. I don't know why I quoted Jaden Smith, but he was you're basically walking, think about walking upstairs, right? And up those steps. Now, when you were a kid or a baby and you didn't know how to walk and you would fall, no one's gonna be look at this baby don't know how to walk, he fell on the ground or she fell on the ground. No, but in doing that, now we all walking, we running, jogging, jumping, can do all types of things, So, the best thing, the best advice for anybody that wants to start anything, creative, business-wise, even for school, You know, like if there's a class that you find interesting that maybe you're not so sure if like, oh, I want to do it or not, but like it's something that interests you, like really hop into it. Like the experience is the best teacher. Experience is the best teacher. So like go for it, and then you'll learn along the way and figure out the better ways to get to from point A to point B as efficiently as possible.
One more question.
Okay. One question. All right, we have time for just one more question.
So like, what AP classes did you used to take? Like,
AP classes?
yeah. Like, did you like take AP classes? And if so, like, what were like?
I didn't take AP psychology.
Those are like college now, Sara.
College, oh, I didn't really, I know I took AP psychology in my junior year of high school. That's really good. I just got put into that class. I know certain people could pick a class,
But they just put me in AP psychology. It was good. I feel like I never been in AP class, so that class actually, that's the definition of what college was to me. The amount of work they give you, that's the work you're gonna get in college. What they want from you, that's what they're gonna want from you in college. So if you take an AP psychology class, which I feel like everybody should, it will help build you up to your next educational chapter, which is college. But college now classes, I didn't take any college.
I probably did too many AP classes, I'll say that. I did like 2 college nows. So I did a college now in math and 1 in English. And then I did AP biology, US history, and calc. I failed the AP US history test, so I didn't get the credits for that. And I think I failed the college now course. But I passed the AP calc, so we got the credits for that. We was good on that. But those are the AP classes I took. Like I would say, if you want like some real like pre-college strats, right? Whatever gen eds like English, and gen eds is like general education, English, math. Those are good APs to take because no matter what you major in, you have to take those classes. I'm not sure if you have to do a science class for every major, but bio is another good one to have. And again, like the college now, it's so funny because the college now courses and the AP courses, they function the same, but the work level isn't exactly the same level. Like the college now courses are more to like, hey, like we are preparing you like transitionary, like this is college sort of work, but like you're still in high school. AP is like, yeah, there's a test you have to take at the end of it, usually reports, but if you're going to do those types of courses, definitely do the general education courses, so that way once you're in college, like you can focus on whatever interests you have and study that.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. So thank you so much, Matthew and Sarah. They gave us a lot of gems. One thing though, a few of the things they said, one thing is, Sarah said, you have to plan. You have to plan. If you don't plan, you're planning to fail. So it's important, young people, even the ones, those of you who are in junior high or middle school, start thinking where you want to go. Start thinking what your passions are, what your interests are. No, Matthew was correct. It is both. You don't always end up where you want to go because things change. Look at what happened in the last 3 years with the pandemic. People's plans change. The environment is always changing. But you need to have a plan in mind. Some people will go straight there. Others might meander a little until you get to where you want to. But still, stay focused, do what you need to do your work in school, and yes, you will get there. All right? Is Attorney Sean Jefferson. And he's coming up to tell you about his wonderful profession. How many prizes we have? 2. A swag. Okay, well, you want to tell them about it? Okay. your cottage swagger. Okay, that's one prize. And we have a Dunkin' Donuts gift card. Yes. Okay. So, Mr. Jefferson, over to you.
All right, how's it going, everybody? Thank you for having me. Like they said, my name is Sean Jefferson. I'm an attorney. I practice it here in New York City. I'm a corporate and finance attorney. I do corporate and finance within entertainment. So like what that means is I help folks raise money for their movies. So, you know, I work on a lot of big movies, Oscar-winning movies, but, you know, when producers say, I have this idea, I have these actors who want to star in this movie, I have the rights to make this movie, and I'm going out to find the money to do it, I'm the person they call, and I'll help them find that money and negotiate that deal to get their project financed. It's a very fun job. I travel a lot. You know, I was just in Jamaica randomly last week, France a couple months before that. I'm going to LA in 2 weeks. So it's really fun in that you get to travel the world. You get to go to these fancy meetings. You get to see movie stars and whatnot. But what it's all grounded in is a lot of hard work. So the presenters right before me, I mean, you guys really covered the bases in terms of like what folks need to be thinking about and just how you need to move right now while you're in school. So just a little bit about how I got here. I grew up here in New York on Long Island. I went to St. John's University undergraduate, and then I went to St. John's Law School. You know, just touching on some of the finances of school, you know, you got to do well because school is expensive. So I went to St. John's Law School because I got a scholarship. You know, that helped me immensely, you know, not having that debt on your resume. So, you know, for folks who are in high school now, you know, I don't know what the tests are now. I graduated high school in 2009. It was all about the SATs. So, you know, if you did well on your SATs, you can set yourself up to get a scholarship going to college. So that's something that, you know, I would focus on and take serious. I would even say I didn't have the best GPA in high school, but doing well and studying for the SATs allowed me to get into St. John's, and I got some money there as well. You know, some of the things to think about if you're looking at college, you know, plan, like folks said, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So there's so many different professions. It's really nice that we have this packet here that sets forth all the different professions, but look up what interests you. You know, if you want to be an attorney, I mean, there's so many different types of attorneys. Real estate, litigation attorneys, criminal attorneys. Figure out what it is you want to do. And from there, pick what school is close to a job that you can get, an internship you can get. You know, there's so many nice schools in big cities. You don't have to stay here in New York. Stony Brook's a great school, but you can go to California, you can go to Florida, you can go to Texas, you can go all around. But it starts with picking your profession now. Plan now. Say, you know what, this is what I'm going to initially go out to do. And it might change. But, you know, pick an initial plan and try to find a school that fits that. Try to find a school that is close to jobs in that profession. So when you're in school, you can work for some of those companies. So, you know, to that point, college is fun. And I would really work hard in college because I got to do internships while I was in college. They weren't paid, so, you know, you have to get over that hump, and you end up having really to do an internship and an actual paid job. So I interned at HBO when I was in college, and I worked at Apple so I could pay my rent. But you know, it all goes into hard work and planning. So I got my internship, and HBO was my line into the entertainment law profession. So I got my internship at HBO by just being involved on campus. I ended up being the president of the Black Student Union, the president of NAACP. I'm in a fraternity called Alpha Phi Alpha. I was the president of that, and the Greek council that governed all of the organizations. So through that, one of the folks I met at school connected me to somebody, a hiring recruit at HBO, and I got an internship at HBO. Once I got into HBO, I felt lucky, I felt blessed. I was around all these students who went to Harvard and Columbia, and I was the guy from St. John. So I just worked harder than everybody there. I never took a day off. I never showed up late. I worked harder. Whatever somebody needed, I was going to do it. There was no job that was too low for me. There was no job that was too high for me. It was all about making connections. And those connections then got me my next job, which is where I am to this day. I'm at a law firm called Frankfurt, Koenig, Klein & Sells. It's the largest entertainment law firm in New York. And again, I worked really hard at HBO. Towards the end of my internship, they said, look, we don't hire out of college, we don't even hire out of law school. And so they partnered me with a law firm that would, train me and teach me throughout the rest of my schooling. And then, hire me after I graduated school. So, but that all came from relationships. Working hard. I can't stress enough. You guys dropped so many gems. So just to add on top of that, so much has come from my life by just showing up. Working hard. Not every day you're going to feel the best. Not every day, physically, mentally, whatever it is, you could be going through things. I had 2 kids before the age of 27. So it was tough. You make mistakes. Sometimes you fall, but it's all about getting back up. Keeping your eye on the goal. And yeah, that's just a little bit about my story.
Wonderful. Thank you. Wonderful. I have a question for you. You have the students here. They are now going through that thinking about their interests. Did you always want to become an attorney when you were in school? Were you thinking of becoming an attorney, or is something that just developed later?
It developed later. So I played sports. I played baseball. I mean, like in my head, I was the next Derek Jeter. So I had a bad knee injury, and and then I had to pivot. And so from there, I was like, you know what? If I can't be Derek Jeter, I'm gonna be on Sports Center. So that was my thing. I was shy. I didn't speak well. So I got into all of those organizations in college, to overcome my fear of public speaking. So the whole being on Sports Center and being a journalist, when it came down to it, I was like, I don't know if I could do that. So I got into the law. You have career advisors in college. They were asking me, what do I want to do? I had mentors. I was in a fraternity. My fraternity helped me out a lot, So I had mentors there who would ask me, what do I want to do? One of the guys, one of the older brothers in the fraternity, he's an attorney as well. So he has been a mentor for me throughout. So he got me really interested in the profession. My dad is also an attorney. So there were attorneys around me who got me focused on that area of that profession. And yeah, from there I said, you know what, I'm going to do it.
And you did it. Okay, open now. Questions?
Where did you get this interest of being an attorney? And what type of attorney did you want to be, or did you think you want to be?
Gotcha. So it's interesting. So everything started for me in sports. So when I first went to HBO, I tried out for HBO Sports. And I interviewed for HBO Sports. I got the job. A week later, Floyd Mayweather left and went to Showtime. That killed HBO boxing. So they were like, look, we're downsizing the department. Either we move you over to original programming, or we'll write you a nice letter of recommendation. We didn't expect this to happen. I was like, just move me over. That was the only thing I had on the table. So I just rolled with it. I went to original programming. It was around the time that they were doing Game of Thrones started out, and Boardwalk Empire. All these mega HBO shows were going on at that time. And it really piqued my interest. I really liked the hustle behind it. The folks there showed an interest in me, and from there, I just kept going with it. And I grew a love for it. I actually got back into sports now, so I do a lot within sports now. So that was always my end goal, was to find a way where I could be an attorney within sports again. And so when you say pick your goal someday in the end you'll get there, in a way that was me too, because I had to do film and TV as a means to get back around to sports. And yeah, I got my interest I think my fraternity brother really gave me the interest because he was somebody I was around all the time, and you know, when you see that image, it's appealing. So you know, he got me into it, and from there, you know, I kind of fell in love with what I do. And I'm not your typical attorney. Like, I don't go to court and read statutes and whatnot. Like, I'm on the phone a lot, I negotiate a lot, I send a ton of emails, you know, like that's like, I'm always on email, but I negotiate deals. So I'm not showing up to court, you know, I'm not getting anybody out of jail, none of that stuff. You know, I'm negotiating your deal. So if you want to buy something from somebody, call me, I'll make sure you get a good deal.
What degree did you get in college?
In college? Sports management. Yeah. So, again, I thought, my whole life is sports, so I got a sports management degree. But then, you know, when I was in school, it was all about these standardized tests, which I think, you know, it's tough on the students, but high school, it was like, you can do whatever, just do well on the SATs. And then to get into law school, you could major in whatever in college, you just needed to do well on the LSAT, the LSAT. So that became what my focus was about. And you know, a little bit about that, you know, I didn't take like a law school prep course in college. So it just was like studying every day. Like I had to ignore what my friends were doing. Like they were partying. College is so much fun. Like get to college because you're gonna have so many great experiences. There's gonna be things to do every single day, every hour of the day, it felt like. But you know, there was a year where I had to cut that out and say, look, like I need to learn this law and study for the LSAT, and it paid off. Like I can't tell you how much, like, you know, turning down for a bit, like you know, not having your season of whatever it is, partying, or if you want to start your own business and you need to save your money, don't buy that designer shoe or whatever it is you're saving up for. Save up for that piece that can you know, help bring your business to the next level. Or you know, you got a test coming up the next week and it's really big and people are looking at you. You know what? Let your friends go to that party. You stay home. It's going to pay off tenfold down the line. Like, you know, there's so many of my friends who couldn't stop partying, who now look at me and say, man, I wish I stopped partying so that they could have a life similar to what I have. So it's all about sacrifice and hard work. You know, like you said, life is life. I don't think there's ever going to become a point where it gets easy. I'm going to leave here. My son has a baseball game. After that, I got to work for the rest of the night. You know, but it's like, pick what you want to do, what you like, but so it doesn't feel like work. But you know, life is hard, and you want to continue to just set reasonable expectations for yourself. There's never going to become a point in time where you can kick back and say, I got it made. Maybe unless you hit the lotto for the Powerball for $1 billion. But otherwise, you know, we all work hard, but we work at things that we like to do, so it doesn't feel like work.
Any other questions?
I don't know if you said this, but what college did you go to?
I went to St. John's undergrad and St. John's law school. Yeah. So St. John's was good for me because it's in Queens, and I wanted to do sports, so it was like a subway ride to the city and all of those sports jobs there.
They're trying to outdo each other. I like that.
What kind of setbacks did you have to cope with to get to where you are today?
Of course, that's a great question.
That's a great question.
Yeah, I would say my biggest one was unexpectedly having kids. You know, my first son came like my first year in law school, so like that sort of just like, you know, that might be a tough one for you guys to I don't think anybody has kids here that's in high school, but you know, that's something that it upended. Your first year of law school is really difficult. Like that's known to be like sort of just a tough period, and you know, that kind of knocked me to the side of it, and you know, I didn't sleep anymore. Again, like at that point I wasn't going out at all. It was just like work, family, and school. That's it. So that was like a really tough setback there. you know, when HBO Sports downsized, so I was saying I initially wanted to be in sports. My whole life was sports. I got into sports through a connection. I didn't have anything else lined up. Like that was it, you know. And I got there, and a week later, they told me they're canceling the department. That was a big setback for me because I didn't want to do film and TV. Like I didn't have any interest in that. I wasn't into making movies or anything like that. But that was a setback too. And then just things in life, man. You go through things in life, you know. I made mistakes, you know. I've gotten in trouble, you know. It's like things you have to get over. But it's just a constant learning lesson, man. You have to every day wake up and say, I'm getting better. Who I was yesterday, that's not who I am today. You know, what do they say? Yesterday's price is not today's price. Like, you gotta continue to advance forward. So whatever setback you're going through, it's fine. You could fall, but just get back up.
You mentioned earlier about relationships, and I'm not sure if you gave the specifics on that. A lot of our youngsters, especially with kind of coming out of this pandemic, have developed a relationship with their technology and social media. Could you talk about how relationships has helped you in your journey?
Relationships are everything. Everything for me. I work in a world where like it's like reserved for like a lot of the privilege of the privileged, like kids who go to these top tier schools. You know, St. John's is good, but it's not a top 10 university, you know, and same thing with the law school. I got to where I am now through relationships. You know, I just can't say that enough. Every person you meet, look them in the eye, shake their hand. You know, if somebody needs something, like nothing is don't be too ego-driven where you think some job is below you or you know, somebody says something to you. Learn how to deal with disrespect differently than go, like, you know, I'm ready to fight or whatever it is. Like, you know, take a step back, think about what just happened, learn to react more diplomatically. It actually makes you look stronger and puts you in a much stronger position. But just relationships, like every person you come in contact with, have it in your mind that I'm never gonna burn this bridge. Whatever I do, I'm gonna see this through. So like, I got to HBO through a relationship. That was one of my fraternity brothers. In college, I was doing the right thing. I was the president of my fraternity. I was the president of all these different organizations. So he took a liking to me. I always helped out with community service and whatnot when he was doing it. So, you know, he got me a connection at HBO. When I was at HBO, I worked hard. Like, I'm not a guy who's gonna, back then there was no COVID, so this sounds crazy now, but like, you know, if I had a little cough or something, I'm still going into the office, you know, like it doesn't matter. If I don't feel well, I'm still going in. I don't miss work. First person in, last person to leave. Folks notice that. You know, there's people who work at these jobs who are working real hard to keep the lights on, and they notice the ones who are there working hard to support them. So they wrote me, I mean, it was a step above a letter of recommendation to the law firm I'm at now. Like, they pretty much told them, you have to hire this guy. The only reason we're not is because corporate policy, we can't, like, we don't have a job for him. And so I got to where I am through relationships. Right now, I'm the youngest person serving as counsel in my firm's history. Again, I work for the largest entertainment firm in New York, and it all came from relationships. This is all, I'm not the smartest guy out there by any means. You can hear how I speak and everything. It's just relationships. That's all. You know, caring about the next person, like having that humanity there. Relationships are everything.
What fraternity do you belong to?
Alpha Phi Alpha.
Thank you. Anything else?
Yes, Tony Brewer.
Yeah, I know, like, you know, we here for the youngins today, but, you know, as you being someone who is even an inspiration to me, like, further on down the line, just with your career and sticking through it, I wanted to ask, I mean, if you feel comfortable sharing your age, but also
31.
31.
I turned 31 a month ago.
Nice, happy birthday. But I wanted to know, like, what were, you spoke on like the setbacks, and that was a great question that was asked, that like you had faced, but like, you know, post-college, like, how did you navigate just like life and getting to where you wanted to be in your career, you know, whether there were changes and you, again, like you spoke on, like just the people that you met that helped you get to where you were, like, I guess what were some of like the specific steps that helped you kind of move along that have helped you get to where you're at?
Specific steps. You know, I guess so specific steps post-college or post-law school?
Post-college, like for you, like, I know like everybody's different, so everybody's situation is different, but I just want to know how you like did it.
Bro, it's really what no, sorry. It's really, I think, let me think back. I graduated college in 2013, so I'm thinking, man, you know, I think so specifically, I'm a big believer in like, specifically identifying what you want to do. So like, when I was graduating college, it's like, okay, let me pick these jobs. Like past, like I want to be this type of attorney. Like I want to have this position at this company, or I want to have this position at this law firm. And then I look at people who serve in those roles, and I just try to, at minimum, emulate what they're doing. You know, so they've done X, Y, and Z. At the least, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. But I might add, you know, A and B on top of it too, to add a little flavor to it. Otherwise, man, I would tell you, like, my mantra is to work hard, bro. Like that's really what it is. Like, I don't think there's any secret sauce, no matter what you do. I think it's just grind it out, like work harder than other folks, because now, like, it takes a lot, because I just turned 31, so I have 3 kids now. Nobody my age has 3 kids, so what it requires is just a level of dedication that other folks don't have. Like, I don't sleep much, like, I don't need that much sleep anymore. Like, it's like, let's just go. The money motivates me to wake up. It's like, you know, we're gonna go get it. So I sacrifice sleep a lot. I don't go out that much anymore. You know, you'll catch me going out like with my friends from high school or college, like once every 2 months, you know, something. But I also have a family, like, so it's just not as appropriate. But I don't go out as much. I'm trying to think, man. What else is it? Oh, staying healthy within yourself. You know, I think that's so big. Like, outside of just like this career stuff. Like, go for a run. You know, in the morning, it'll clear your mind. You know, be in the church, talk to God, talk to a therapist, like talk to folks, work on your mental, work on your physical. It makes you feel so much better when you're going out into the world. Like, when I'm in a good place mentally and physically, I feel like I perform so much better when I go to the office. You know, and again, I'm a negotiator, so like it's always a tactic. Like, there's somebody on the other side trying to get the best of me in the same way I'm trying to get the best of them. And, you know, I feel the best, like, when I've gone to the gym that morning and I've eaten a good breakfast and, like, I wasn't rushing around and, like, you know, I had everything laid out. Like, I think that is it goes unnoticed a lot. It's just, you know, just your mental, physical, and spiritual well-being, how much that carries you in the workforce. You know, that it definitely helps.
Question. Since you played sports and you seem like you still have that competitive drive, is it the competitive nature that you had in sports that you transferred to your career?
A lot of that is there too, yeah. Being better than the next person, and not like in a put them down way, but you know, if you play sports, nobody wants to be on the bench, you know. So everybody's fighting to get a starting spot, and once you get a starting spot, you know, you fight to be the star. So I think a lot of that goes with it too, you know. If you're gonna do something, do it to be the best. You know, like I think Martin Luther King said, if you're gonna be a garbage man, be the best garbage man there is out there. You know, like I don't think there's any room for mediocrity, especially among black folks. You know, like there's no room for that. So, you know, if you don't have the competitive edge to be better than the next person, just try to be the best version of you and just be better than you were the next day. You know, if you made a mistake the next day, make a mental note of it, don't kill yourself about it, but make sure you never make that mistake again. You never put yourself in a position to do that again. So, you know, you go.
All right. Well, we have a multitude of guests right here. become an entertainment attorney. You wanted to be Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
Right? But it was the interest in sport at that age that sort of channeled you to where you got.
Right.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So that is good. So listen to that.
Follow your
yes,
interest.
Follow your interest. And he said, if you end up in a career doing something you love, it's not work. It's not work. Think about that too. And one thing that stuck in my mind, and I just have to mention this, is that you said at one point you were shy, you were good at public speaking.
Yeah.
But what you did, you worked on it. You worked on it.
Yeah.
So now you're
Fall into your fears. If you're fearful of something, just fall into it.
Yes.
There's no better way. If you're scared to swim in, jump in the water. You can figure it out.
Thank you so much. So, we have now, before the break, okay, we have Mr. Gateau.
So I'm here to talk about, careers in finance. I've been working in finance for about 20 plus years now. And I got into it like most people do. I started off as a bank teller, right? So, because I figured, hey, while I'm in college, I'll get a part-time gig, and when I'm graduating, I'll have all these opportunities open up for me. And it works somewhat, because I'll apply for these positions, but then people look at me and like, oh, you're just a teller. Why do you want to be an analyst? Or you're not going to be able to be an analyst. So, as a bank teller, what I did is, instead after counting money, I stayed after and just learned everything about running a branch, and that helped me immensely, right? So by the time I graduated, and I trusted my boss enough to tell her, hey, look, I'm going for these other positions, and she said, you know what, I'll help you out, I'll write you a letter of recommendation, which helped a lot. When they say relationships matter in this business, in finance it matters also. Right now, I work for an insurance company, AIG. And one of the things we always say when you run into people, it's a big industry, but it's also very small. Because you'll run into the same folks at every event, and especially when it comes to minorities in the insurance group, it's even smaller. So those relationships you build there are vital. So after after I left the bank, I got hired by another bank where I started working as a financial analyst. And it wasn't like a regular financial analyst, I was part of like a project team. So if they wanted to open up a bank, they call on me and my boss, and we run numbers and say, hey, is this bank gonna make us money, or and all of that. So that was the fun part of it, And after that, I am where I am now at AIG, where I've been for 14 years. I just celebrated 14 years there, working on various projects where those finance skills that I learned as an analyst really transferred. Because now I'm doing a lot of project management stuff, and it's very rewarding to see your work make some value for the company. So it's not just hear the numbers, you figure it out. I'm telling you, hear the numbers, and here's why the numbers make sense, and here's why this is a good move for us, or it's not such a good move. So, if you want to go into career finance, what is steps you have to do, right? Number one, bare minimum, earn your bachelor's degree, because no one will even look at you if you don't even have that. And even that, nowadays, isn't enough, When you're in college, pursue an internship. If there's like a company that you're interested in, try and get some recommendations, try and, lean on some contacts and get an internship. It'll help you tremendously, right? Because at an internship, it's your chance to see, hey, is this really for me? Or, you know, in finance branches, you know, is investment banking my thing, or is corporate finance? It's opportunity right there to figure out what direction you want to go in terms of career. And third point, continuous learning. Like I said, I've been doing this 20 plus years. I'm still learning something new. My wife will tell you, I'm on YouTube all the time learning some new stuff, you know, and you go to these conferences, you go to these networking events, and people are just, you know, they're sharing what they're worried about, and when they share with me what they're worried about, it's my opportunity to say, all right, how do I alleviate some of that with the work that I do? You know, and you know, do it like I did. You know, get your foot in the door, work as a bank teller. You know, it's not like the sexiest job, but long term it'll help. You know, and what's extremely important once you get in, find yourself a mentor. You know, a mentor, someone who's worked in the business a long time, who has a lot of experience. Especially find a mentor in an area that you're interested in. A couple of years ago, before I transitioned from being a financial analyst to like a business/project manager. My mentor was like head of project management for like AIG, and when I tell you the skills and the stuff you learn from someone who has that experience, it helps you immensely. So, what you know, how do you become successful in career finance? You know, the profession, financial analyst profession, is evolving tremendously. When I first started, you know, every month you'd sit, do these reports, hand them off. Nowadays, you know, you do these reports. You do the analysis, and you let the business people know, hey, this is what it is, this is why, you know, the numbers are what they are. And it takes a lot off of their plate to know that, you know, they're trusting you with their business. Technical skills, it's vital. Excel will be your best friend. It's been my best friend for 20 plus years in this game. You know, always continue to build up on those skills. You know, right now you probably hear a lot of talk about big data and, you know, insights and all of that. You know, it's vital. You know, it's very important. You know, and most importantly, to be successful is to network. You know, like I said, you know, you run into people. They'll put you onto what's going on in the business. If there's like an opening, they'll be like, hey, look, you know, I like talking to you. If something always opens up, I'll definitely keep you in mind. Or, hey, I could put you onto somebody else that's over here. It's helped me a lot in my career, and I always stress when I talk to somebody, especially young folks that just start out in business also that I work with, I tell them, just get out there. You know, the days of just putting your head down and working, it just doesn't fly anymore. You know, because you want to be remembered. You know, you want to be, you know, catch somebody's attention for the quality of the work that you do and the type of person you are. Because, you know, I run into people, you know, I just started going back into work, and you run into people and say, hey, I remember you from, you know, and hey, let's grab lunch sometime. You know, and stuff like that is invaluable. I know a lot, you know, sometimes it may not feel like much at the moment, but the more you do it, the more valuable it becomes, and the more you'll see yourself like appreciating it. You know? So I had a slide here. This one? Yeah. So, you know, I wanted to, you know, just show you guys like what the opportunities are out there in finance and what the average salaries are. And trust me, this is just an average. Like here in New York, the salaries are much higher than they would be like in the Midwest or something like that. So I just wanted to, just share that with you guys and say, hey, you could make a pretty nice living doing this. I've been blessed to do this a while, and we do pretty okay, and and I just feel it's important. So I know it sounds boring, but it's once you get into the nitty-gritty of it, you'll see that it could be very, very fulfilling.
Any questions for Mr. Gateau?
Do you have to be a really good math student?
Well, finance and math, you can't be a good finance person without it's just skill number one, to know your math, right?
So those of you who love maths and love numbers, you might be able to find a career in finance. Yes? We got some more gems from Mr. Gateau. Hard work, continuous learning. And this is true not only for finance, but it is true for almost everyone. I had a career in social services. I had to be learning constantly. They're all using technology. They're all applications for different areas. You have to learn those applications. You have to use them. So, yes. And I tell you, the more you learn and the more you do, it's the better it is for you, because that is the way to excel in your career. But again, starting with your interest. If you have an interest in math, and you like doing math, then this is an area that would be good for you. So, thank you very much, Mr. Gateau. This was enlightening. Oh, we have questions?
Can you just explain to the youth what finances it can be like in terms of like what finances exactly is in terms of what it is? Because it's not, you say finances, when you think of finances, you could think of doing taxes, it's like different entities of
Right, finance, it's really broad. It's really broad. As you say, taxes, doing taxes, that's part of finance. Being an accountant, I think bank teller, working in the bank, that's part of finance. When you walk in, the person that's giving you investment advice, that's finance. What I started off doing outside of being the bank teller is, I've run numbers just to show, hey, my boss, hey, this is how well we're doing as a company right now, or as a department right now. We could be doing better here. This is how much we spent in dining this week, or so stuff like that. Some of this. Think about your parents going over your own finances at home, but run that to a bigger scale, right? So hey, how much money we spend in gas or electricity and stuff, stuff like that. So picture doing something like that in a broad scale for a company or a department. I don't know if that answers your question.
Benjamin had a question?
I don't know if it's already, but where did you get this interest in finance?
Like I said, I was always good in math. My first career choice was to be a doctor, but I couldn't pass chemistry one, so that was dashed out the way. But I was always good at math. It always came easy to me, and when in high school they took like a college level accounting course that I did well in, so it's always stuck ever since.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Darell Saul. I'm one of the Christian Education Commissioners. In my field, I am what's called a radiographic technologist, or what you would say radiographer or X-ray tech. So I'm going to be talking about the technical careers. My field is in the medical field, as with some of the speakers have said to you guys earlier, for those who have missed, that there are times when you don't know what you're going to do in high school. In high school, I know we as parents, I'm a parent, I know we put a lot of pressure on you children to pick where you're going to go or figure out what you're going to do, because as other speakers have said, we've made some mistakes. So we're trying to help you guys to avoid those mistakes, because sometimes those side steps can take you a couple of years to get back into it. When I started leaving high school, like standardized tests was my thing. Like the lowest I ever got was like a 97. And then went to college. It's a totally different ballgame, because you have to then learn how to study to suit you, not. Because in high school, what you're going through now, high school is teacher writes it on the board, you write it on the book, you then go over what you just studied together, and then that's on the test. You get to college, the professor will say, you see this big old book, I need you to study chapters 1, 2, and 3, the test is somewhere in there. So it's then learning how to teach yourself how to study. When I went to college, I wanted to be a doctor. So when at the time, I didn't meet with my advisor yet. So I picked my own courses. Like I picked Chemistry 101, Biology 101, Calculus, English 101, Psychology 101. So when you get to college, you realize that's insane. That's a lot of courses, a lot of classwork. A lot of those classes had lab courses, so it's like I had my classes on one day, a lab, which is like an extra study class on another day. So my schedule, like I started class at 8 a.m., I didn't end class until like 5 p.m. That was on my crazy self, but eventually decided I'm not going to be a doctor anymore, because it was, by the time I think I was already burnt out my sophomore year. So then I got into psychology. When I took the psychology courses, I decided, I would be a psychologist, or at the minimum, a guidance counselor in high school, because my guidance counselor was pretty cool in high school. So I was like, I'm going to be that guy. Then, after I finished school, you realize like, it's not, you don't just need an undergraduate to become a, therapist, psychologist, all this other stuff. You need masters and then doctorate. So then I was like, maybe that's not what I want to do. So then I joined the military. I did the military for a couple of years and then joined the reserves. So at this point, I'm about 26, still hadn't figured out what I wanted to do. And I had a talk with one of my mentors. I know Brother Gene had mentioned it, having a mentor. And Brother Jefferson had mentioned it also. Having a mentor is key. Had a mentor that said, instead of working jobs, why don't you get a career? Look into something. And I remember in high school, I did an internship at a hospital, and when I saw the X-ray techs, I liked what they did. So I went to X-ray school. X-ray school at the time, it was hospital-based. It was more hospital-based. There are college-based courses now, but it was hospital-based, so the program itself is run by the hospital. And it was a 2-year program, 2 years straight. There is no summer break, winter break. We got a couple holidays off, but it was 2 years straight. And I got into X-ray, and I told myself, I'm gonna be the best X-ray tech ever. There's nobody that can be better than me, there's nobody that can shoot better films than me. And so I got into X-ray, and at this time, again, I'm 27, so had bills, had rent. So it was I had to go, I went to school from 8 to 4. I got a job in the hospital, and I was going straight from school, right to work from 4 to 12. got home, studied a little bit. It's about like 2 a.m. because now I'm going to sleep. So wake up at 6 to get back to, get ready for the day. So I would tell you guys, don't be discouraged by how you start. Just keep going. Always keep going. You're gonna hit these little sidestep pitfalls, but don't let that stop you from doing what you want to do, or don't let it just stop you completely. If you see like this is not for you, move on to the next, but do your best at it. So like, as an X-ray tech, what we do, we assist doctors, we assist physicians and stuff to assess what's wrong with you guys. Like if you ever went to a hospital, if you hurt your foot, if you're having like stomach pains or issues like that, they can sometimes send you for an X-ray to see what's going on inside. We would shoot the X-ray, check anything from bones, to checking to see if you're constipated, or checking to see if there's issues with your heart. Sometimes a simple X-ray can show you if it's possible, I hate to bring up the word, but cancer. Like I work at a cancer center, so I see this every day. So a simple chest X-ray can see if there is something cancerous inside the lungs, issues with your heart, or issues in your stomach, your small intestines, or those parts of the body, so we can then assist the doctor in making a diagnosis. So our job is very crucial in the medical field. Like, yes, the doctors get all the glory, but they wouldn't know what they know if they didn't have the images that we take. Amen. So don't think that just because somebody's hiding you, that you're less important. Every big company, it takes the lowest guy to make sure that everything runs correctly. So, as the gentleman said with Dr. Martin Luther King, he said, if you're going to be a garbage man, be the best you can be. If you're going to be a secretary, be the best that you can be, and then you move up from there. You start off in the lower ends, and you can always, with hard work, it will always pay off as to getting further in the job. A lot of they talk about, Robert James talks about his relationships. In every field, you would think, okay, this is New York City, it's a big city. In every field, it's very small. Just to show you a little irony, my clinical instructor, my clinical instructor, and say, what was it, the head of the school, one of his good friends used to work at the hospital, got promoted, became the head of Jamaica Hospital. On the day that I went from after school, I had a little issue finding a job. It took about 30 days because at the time I finished school, a lot of other schools had already finished, so a lot of the new jobs were taken up. So I'm there in the interview, one of the supervisors, and the head executive walks in, and he recognized me, and he was like, hey, what are you doing here? And I was like, I'm trying to get a job. And I was literally hired on the spot based on a relationship that I formed with him. Then also, when my third job, like where I am now, one of the supervisors, she was the best woman, or the maid of honor, of my clinical instructor. So it's like, all of these things tie in. Brother Jefferson has said, don't burn those bridges when you're going through. Wherever you start, don't think of this person is too low. You don't know who they know. And in New York City, in this business world, it's half of what you know, the other half is who you know. Amen. So take that into consideration, that whatever relationships you all do form, build on it. You never know. Like, young brother here has a magazine company. You never know. You guys may want to get into modeling. Or if you have a product you may want to promote, you can build that relationship with him, have your thing put in his magazine, and then you all can build together. So I have a little video just to show you better than I can say it as to what X-ray techs do.
they are, and radiologic technologists perform examinations that produce images for radiologists to interpret. The public know it as x-rays, and that is what they are, and we teach students how to perform examinations where patients are positioned and the correct technical factors are made so that you have an x-ray for a doctor to look at. Radiologic technologists could work in a hospital, could work in a doctor's office, could work in an urgent care center, could work as a travel tech, which means they would travel to different parts of the country or the world even where they may be needed, where there's a shortage of radiographers. Or they can also bring x-rays to like nursing homes where the patients can't leave. They'll bring in a x-ray unit and take x-rays there. So there's lots of different environments. So if someone was interested in this particular field of diagnostic imaging, those people who are interested in working in healthcare, number one, really enjoy working with patients, but also enjoy working with technology, who enjoy fast-paced environments where things are not necessarily a typical 9-to-5 day.
You have to be patient, patient with the patients, especially with your peers. You have to be tolerant because not everyone is like you, obviously. You have to be able to listen and then know when to not talk. You have to be able to work as a team. You have to be very independent when you need to be.
One of the core values that are required in this is to critically think, because not one patient's going to be the same, not one situation is going to be the same, and you're going to have to deal with it on your toes.
You're taught one way to take an image, but maybe the patient can't do that, but you still have to get the image. So you need good critical thinking skills. Students become radiologic technologists by enrolling in a program such as the ones that we have here at Montgomery College. It's a 2-year program. It's pretty intense.
Basically, you have to put everything off to get in this program. It's a challenging program, but it's rewarding. When I got in the program, I was like, this is great. You know, you get to help people like when they're most vulnerable. And to me, it's nothing like rewarding than that.
It requires a lot of clinical hours as well as didactic or classroom courses that prepare you to take a national registry. After you take the national registry, you can be hired as a radiologic technologist anywhere in the country. For a first-year radiologic technology student, they'll come to classes on Mondays and Wednesdays, and then they'll go to their clinical sites Tuesdays and Thursdays. As the student progresses to become a second-year student, they will have classes on Tuesday and clinicals on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Their second summer with us, they are in clinicals every day for 9 weeks.
I did my clinical rotations at Holy Cross Hospital here in Silver Spring, as well as Georgetown Hospital.
As far as my clinical rotations, I went to Holy Cross Silver Spring, and I went to Holy Cross in Germantown. I went to Children's Hospital for a month, and I went to Georgetown University Hospital for my second year.
Clinical experience was very good. They're very familiar with us. Actually, when they hear you from Montgomery College, they hold you to a certain standard.
The work sites did know that Montgomery College students were well-rounded students, not only in book-wise, but with patient care, and they did exceed that. So I definitely know that.
The radiologic technology students get 1,560 hours of clinical time. So when they complete this program, they're very well trained, and the sites know this. This is why they like to hire our students or our graduates, because they know the number of hours that they have actually seen them work. When a student graduates from the program, then they sit for the American Registry of Radiologic Technologists, or it's known as the ART, National Certification. After they pass that, and this program has a 100% first-time pass rate for the past 7 or 8 years. We're very proud of that. But after they pass that, then they go ahead, and depending on the state they decide to work in, they do have to apply for a license. So if you wanted to work in the state of Maryland, you would apply for a license once you became registered as an ARRT certified radiographer. What's really exciting about the field of radiologic technology is foundationally allows a radiographer to go in many directions. If they want to stay in diagnostic imaging, they can cross-train in CT and MRI, and they don't go back to school for that. Most of the time, it's the clinicals are taught on the job, and you might take a few courses on your own to pass the registry, but it's not dedicated to your program. So you can move in that direction, or you can go administratively and become an administrator, go on and get a 4-year degree in healthcare administration, or you can go into education, which is what I did. So it's a really great starting point of a good career that is sustainable for many, many years.
The Montgomery College program, I believe, helped me because not only does it have a good reputation, but it was a stepping stone for me as a student to be able to land a good job.
It's rewarding. The job security is there. You get to learn. You're always learning something. You're always advancing. There's always room for improvement. There's always room for promotions. There's always room to divert into different areas in the medical field. So if I did it, I think anyone else can.
All right, so that's just a small video as to like what you can't do. Like this is a couple X-rays that we've taken. So this is your neck. So this is your seat cervical spine. Like with the next image here, I'm gonna show you the difference between a child and a grown-up. This is a kid here that we did smaller size head. See this here? This is all your sinuses. Whenever you have sinus issues, know that all of this might be blocked up. So that when you have a cold, you're like, oh, where's all this mucus coming from? It's all in here, all it goes back to your ears. So that's how deep your sinuses can go. And this is a kid's arm. See these little lines here? It's called growth plates. So in the growth plates, as your kids grow and sprout every summer, it's leaving room for you guys to grow before you become an adult. Also, if you've ever had your younger brother and younger sister, they can twist their body into all these crazy positions. You wonder why, because they have a lot of space in between their bones as they're growing. I didn't know that before I got into the school. I was like, wow, it's crazy to know that this is how nature works. This is how God intended you to be, whereas you have room to grow. So a lot of you, your growth plates haven't sealed yet, probably until about like 19, sometimes age 20. On to the next one. See, like this is a young kid's hand again. There's a lot of little lines, little space in between the joints, a lot of space in between the joints where they do all these crazy positions with their body. There's another kid's hand. To the next photo. Now this is an adult brain now. See, it's a little larger. These here, like if you have times when a lot of people say, oh, I have a sinus headache. It's this area right here in the front here. So there's a pocket that can either fill with ear, or sometimes you can get it filled with other things, and that's what it will cause you to have that headache. So that's one of the things that we would look for. Like right here, like this one. This is the grown-up hand. Don't mind the nails. This is the grown-up hand. As you can see, there's not as much space in between. This person has already grown for as much as they're gonna go. So there's little joint spaces where you bend, but other than that, the growth is, you've already reached that phase in your growth. This is an abdomen x-ray here. So we do studies where we do contrast. So we give them a substance to drink that shows a white in their body. And in an x-ray, air shows up black. So we can tell if a patient is constipated. So like y'all would just see this and y'all think, oh, this is nothing. Like I can tell you right now, like all this right here, this person is constipated. So you can see here, this is all the fluids here. There's a lot of air, so they're kind of backed up. That's what we would say. Here again, this other image here. This person has a lot of air. This patient may be bloated. It's a lot of gas. But you see a lot of the black, that's a lot of air in the abdomen. And I've x-rayed some famous people too, so you see what Simpsons did. But like I said, in this field, like I said, what we do, we take images for doctors or for diagnosis. Where do we work? We work in places like hospitals, we work in places like urgent care or a clinic. Even a dental clinic takes x-rays. The education requirements for right now, from updating before, you just needed a high school diploma. But at this point now, at the minimum you need is an associate's degree. That's a 2-year degree. And for me, like, what's life like? This is my uniform. Some people wear scrubs in the work in the hospital. We try to have it so that when a patient comes in, they just feel comfortable. They don't feel like they're in a hospital. So we try to make it as comfortable for them. This is regular clothing, slacks, you know, a polo and a sweater. You know, nothing too that you have to. It's not a suit and tie, or it's not hospital scrubs like some have to wear. As I said, relationships are key. Always value the next person. No one is more important than the other. And in turn, you still want to be the best that you can be without putting down the other person. So always work hard, always try your best to move up in your field, but you're still not putting down the next person. And as Brother Gene said, a mentor. Mentor is very, you know, my mentor got me into this field. I've been doing it now for 17 years. I started out wanting to be a doctor. I'm in the medical field, not a doctor per se, but just as important, just as valuable. You know, you can say starting wages start out in this day and age. When I started out, starting wages was like $45,000 to $50,000. So right now, starting out of school is about $65,000 out of school for New York City. In other states, it's a little lower. I think the only state that's higher is California, but then California comes with a lot of taxes. So you can go to school for this. I know one school that's prominent in New York for x-rays, New York City Tech. That's in downtown Brooklyn. So there are other schools. I know St. John's has a program, and also Lehman College also. So they're college-based programs, and they're also still hospital-based programs. The reason why I would recommend the college-based program is when you come out of it, you come out of it with a degree. You can then use that degree to go into, do more into management side. You can go into teaching. I almost had a job, remember Gene mentioned he went to school at CW Post. I almost had a job teaching x-ray at CW Post, but for me, having a young child, it's a long commute, so that was, you know, I chose not to take that path. But you can go into teaching, you can go into doing other things like becoming an MRI tech, which uses magnets. You can become a CAT scan tech. You can also get into, on the women's side, you can get into mammography, where you do breast exams to check for, you know, pre-screening for breast cancer and those things. So that's in a nutshell what I do. I'll open it up to any questions anyone may have.
I wanted to ask, going back to that adult arm you were talking about, what is the labor mean? The labor.
The Army aspect? Oh, the arm. Oh, okay, so the labrum, I'll go back to the next one. All right, so your labrum is in here. So like, when you hear people like baseball players say they have a torn labrum. So from doing this motion a lot, you're stretching right here. So if the muscle is right here, that helps you pull your arm forward. So your labrum is somewhere in here that if you were to tear, people would take you, an x-ray wouldn't really show it unless it's really bad. A lot of times, like if you pull a muscle, sometimes some people would tear the muscle off the bone. So we would see the muscle curl up. So we see a lot of things. You'll see a lot of interesting things. I've been in an OR, an operating room, where doctors were doing open heart surgery, and you can see the heart pumping as the chest is open. So I've seen a lot of things, you know. I'm not going to go to the gruesome side of it, but you see a lot of things. I worked at Jamaica Hospital ER, and they're a level 1 trauma center, so all the accidents off the Van Wyck and all the other things I was able to see. At first, it was a little hard to take, but eventually it becomes like anything else, becomes some, you know, just part of your job. So we do a lot of x-rays of, say, ball players, and so when you have issues with your elbow or what have you, we'll take an MRI to see if you have a torn, if it's a tear, or if it's just a strain or a pull. So we would help in the diagnosis of people in the sports industry. Any other questions?
Did the Army help you get into your career? Did the Army help you get into your career?
That's a good question. He asked if did the Army help me get into the career. In this one, technically it didn't, but it can. The Army does have an X-ray program. A lot of things that I'd like to recommend to young kids that don't know where they're going. I had a few younger cousins that didn't know what they wanted to do coming out of high school. So I recommended that instead of hanging around the block, how about you join the military? And in joining the military, they were able to, the military is like an open door, it's like a gateway. You can become anything you want to. Like I actually recommend if when, say, in school now, school is very expensive. You can join the military and they can pay for your school. If even after, say, even if you do your 4-year course and you have a lot of loans, if you then join the military, you can then join as an officer. So you go in with less people telling you what to do. And you go in being able to give orders. And once you join up, they have programs to pay off all of the student loans. So coming out of it, you will come out with 0 student loans. Like if you have the will and the educational, drive to do anything, the military will pay for it. At the time, in my youth, when I was just about to discharge from the military, they offered me a chance to go into med school. And they said, okay, after med school, you just have to give us an 8-year commitment. So, in my youth, I said, oh my God, 8 years, that's a long time. I can't do that. But technically, if I did, that would have been 7 years ago for me. So I would have been a doctor in my mid-30s and with no bills, no loans, no nothing to pay off, everything fully paid off. And when you're in the military, you're being paid as you are learning. So if you wanted to go into anything, do the military, they will pay you as a soldier and they'll pay for your schooling. So while you're in the midst of going to school, you're still being paid while you're learning. And then you give them your commitment. And then after that, once you discharge, you are free of any loans or any the debt that we parents are trying to avoid for you guys. Any other questions?
So, thank you so much, Commissioner Darell. This was excellent. What this tells you is that every career is important. Every job is important. And in particular, those in the health field. If you go in the health field, you will always be able to find a job. These technicians, without that, they won't be able to diagnose illnesses. And unfortunately, we always have people getting sick and needing health care. So that's a very important job if this is the kind of thing that you'd like to do. And certainly, you're assured of a salary and a decent salary. So thank you for that. Some people can do it and some people love doing it. Some people say, like those in education, I say, okay, I prefer to be in the classroom, but this is what it is. That was actually very enlightening for me. I did, looking at those videos, there are so many things I saw that I did not know before. The next speaker needs to go to work. And this is important. You're going to want to hear this. You're going to want to hear this. So we're going to ask him to come up now. He's going to talk about the job of a pilot.
All right. Where do I start? All these great professions in here. It's hard to top those things. So if I can, I guess I can start with how I got started in being a pilot, becoming a pilot. My childhood wasn't that great. I was born and raised in Queens, and on the other side of Queens, and I was a project kid. You know, I grew up in the projects. My parents didn't really have much. You know, I didn't have much growing up, and I was getting into a lot of trouble, and you know, hanging out with the wrong crowd, which is not a good thing, right? Not a good thing. However, I used to live not too far away from LaGuardia Airport, and I used to see the planes take off, see the planes land, and I would always wonder a few things. Where they're going, who's flying them, and how is this big piece of metal staying in the sky? How is it staying in the sky? So, I kind of had that love for aviation very, very early, but I didn't see anybody that looked like me flying the plane. I've taken trips, went to Florida, been to different places, but I never, ever saw a black pilot. So with that, can I do it? If I don't see anybody that look like me, is this something that I can actually do? Or how do you go about doing these things? So after high school, and by the way, in high school, my grades were horrible. So you guys, if you're in high school, show of hands, how many people in high school already? How many people in junior high school?
Raise your hand.
Right? So, believe it or not, your junior high school grades matter. Your junior high school grades matter. Your high school grades, they matter. And I will tell you why they matter. And this is very, very, very important. So, after high school, I decided, you know what, I want to be around airplanes, so I'm going to go and get a job at JFK Airport. So I went to the airport right before I graduated high school, and I tried to get the job, but I needed a high school diploma to get the job. So as soon as I graduated, that next week, I went down to the airport and I said, hey, I got my diploma now, so you know, hopefully you're gonna give me a job. So they gave me a job loading airplanes. And that was cool because I was able to be around airplanes now. But that's not what I really wanted to do, right? So I'm still getting into trouble, doing some crazy things that I shouldn't be doing, hanging out with the wrong crowd. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna have to change my life around. I want to be a pilot. So you know what? There was a school by LaGuardia Airport called the College of Aeronautics. At the time, now it's called Farm College of Aeronautics. At the time, it was just College of Aeronautics. So I go there, and this is where I say your grades matter. I go there and I say, hey, I want to be a pilot. I know you have a pilot program. Sign me up for the pilot program. So they said, okay, no problem. Let me see your high school grades. And I said, oh boy, now I'm in trouble, right? So they looked at my high school grades and they said, you know what? Being that your grades are not that great, you can't be a part of the pilot program. You'll have to do something else. And I'm like, oh my God, what else am I going to do? I want to be a pilot. So I said, all right, no problem. I opted to go into the mechanical program to learn how to fix the airplanes. So I went to the mechanical program and still getting into trouble, still doing crazy things. And you know, my grades weren't that great then. I decided, you know what, I'm going to have to do something else. So I went to the military, right? So I went to the military, and when I got to the military, I just walked to the recruiter station and I said, I want to be around airplanes. I don't care whatever it is that you do. If you put me around an airplane, I'm good. So they said, okay, if you want to be around an airplane, we're going to send you to airborne school. I said, is that going to put me in an airplane? They said, yes. I said, all right, sign me up. Little did I know that I was jumping out of airplanes. I didn't want to do that. Right? So I started jumping out of airplanes, and it was absolutely the best thing that I ever did. So I was paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne Division. I traveled all over the world. I've seen a lot of things, and my job pretty much was to jump out of the plane and find somebody to, I'm not gonna say the next word, but find somebody to take care of business. That was kind of my job in the military. But again, it still was not good enough. Because why? I wanted to be a pilot. So this is again where your grades come into play at. So I decided, you know what? I want to go to pilot training in the military. So I was told something, and the one guy told me, you can take the test to get into an aviation program in the military, but if you fail the test, then you can take it again. I said, all right, no problem. If I fail it, I'll take it again. Then he said, if you fail it again, you can never take this test ever for the rest of your life, ever again. You will never be a pilot or never go into aviation community within the military. So I don't know if that was true or not. And of course, the person that told me that was white. Now, is it because he didn't want me to get into the aviation unit? I don't know. But I don't know if that was true or not. So I said, all right, I'm not going to do it because why? I started thinking about the type of student that I was in elementary school, the type of student that I was in junior high school, the type of student that I was in high school. I'm constantly cutting class and doing all of these things. And it's not good. It's not that I wasn't smart, right? I would think an average person, right? But my grades did not show that. They didn't show that. The paper didn't show that. And when you go to interviews and when you go to these places, they're going to look on paper. They don't know who you are. The paper is going to tell you who you are or tell them who you are. So that paper is very important. Right? So with that, I said, all right, this is something I can't do. Right? I'm not going to be able to do it because I'm not smart enough to do it. I don't feel like I'm able to do it. I'm not going to succeed. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to do it. So moving along, there was this thing called sergeant's time training at the time. And sergeant's time training, they allowed you to go to different units and practice the things that they practice in their unit. So I was an infantry guy. Or I was just a good, I was a good person with a gun, right? So I was an infantryman. So what I decided to do was go into the mechanical side in the military. So then I became a Black Hawk mechanic. So I started fixing helicopters in the military. Again, not what I wanted to do. And my pilot stuff was just gone. It was a gone dream. So I get out of the military and I say, you know what? I'm gonna join the National Guard. So I got out of active duty, I joined the National Guard, and I found an aviation unit here in New York, in Ronkonkoma. So I went to the aviation unit there. Being that I had the mechanical background, because I did go to school for that, I started fixing Black Hawks in the National Guard. And from that, I had to take this long drive back to Queens, and I had to pass another airport, Republic Airport, Farmingdale, and I would always see signs saying, learn to fly here. I said, all right. So I go into a school, and again, I use my famous words, sign me up, right? Sign me up. This time, there was nobody going to stop me now. There's nobody going to stop me at this point. So they signed me up. I started going to pilot training. But again, I never saw anybody that looked like me, right? I'm seeing everybody else. Nobody looked like me. So I'll give you one story. One day, I took the plane out after a lesson. I'm standing on the wing. I'm about to get off. And a guy comes up to me. He says, oh, wait, before you get off the plane, I want to just take a picture of you. And I was like, all right, sure, no problem. And then after that, he says, yeah, because I want people to know that anybody can do this. And I was like, wow, what is that supposed to mean? What do you mean by anybody can do this? So to me, that was an issue, right? That was a big issue, and I didn't like that. So I said, all right, no problem. I went back to school, right? I'm still training, pilot training, but then I went back to school. So I went back to the College of Aeronautics. And guess what now? I'm a straight A student. How? How am I a straight A student at this college that in my high school grades were bad, everything was bad? And the reason why is because now I pride myself. Like the things that I went through in the military, it changed my life around. It made me think about life. It made me think about different things. The countries and the places that I've been to, I'm seeing how people grow up or how people live in these countries, in these third world countries, and I'm like, I don't have it, man. Compared to them, right? So it just completely changed my perspective on life, and it made me apply myself now. So now I'm a straight A student, and I'm literally straight A student in college. It's absolutely mind-boggling because I was a horrible student in high school, junior high school, and elementary school. I remember I used to cheat on my spelling test all the time. Right? So moving forward, I said, all right, the military thing is, I don't know if I'm going to continue this as a career. So I decided, you know what? My brother was a police officer, and he kept on telling me to take the test, take the test, take the test. So I went and I took the test for to be a police officer. I never wanted to be a police officer. It's the furthest thing in my mind to be a police officer, especially some of the things I've been doing in the past. Never thought about it. However, at the time, I had a young kid, and I started thinking about the benefits, right? Compared to where I was working, to the things that I could have, you know, in the future, the benefits, I said, you know what, I'll do it. So I became a police officer back in 2004. So I'm almost done now, right? So I became a police officer in 2004. From there, I said, hey, police department, they have an aviation unit. Pretty cool, right? So I've seen one black guy who was a pilot. He was actually a lieutenant. I was doing a parade in Manhattan. And he was walking around with this leather coat on, and I'm like, we don't wear leather coats in the police department, so where are you from, right? He had these big wings on his chest. I'm like, oh wow, what's that? And he said, oh, I'm a pilot in the aviation unit. And this had to be, I would say, 2008 or something like that. So I said, all right, I'm already a pilot at this point. I've been going to flight training, and I got my pilot certificate already. So I said, all right, that's where I'm gonna go. Now I can possibly be this aviator that I always wanted to be, right? So never losing sight of me wanting to be a pilot. Now I'm actually a pilot already, but I'm not a professional pilot, right? And I never was able to become that military pilot. So I said, all right, maybe I can do it in the police department. So I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried, and they kept on telling me, no, 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 right? I tried to get into this unit for 14 years. And they kept on telling me, no, 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 no. So one day I go down to interview, and this was, I would say, 2016, something like that. I went to an interview, and I told them, either two things are going to happen. Either you're going to bring me into this unit, or I'm going to end up retiring, but I'm never going to stop trying until I make it in or I retire. So it's your choice. You're going to take me or I'm going to leave, right, at some point. So they happened to take me. So now, I'm a helicopter pilot for the New York City Police Department, and it's the greatest job in the world. I'm no longer on the street chasing people. I'm no longer on the street writing tickets. I'm no longer locking anybody up. I took my handcuffs the day I got to the unit. I took my handcuffs and I threw them right in the water. So I never use these again, ever. So I became that I became that pilot in the aviation unit, and again, it's the greatest job. And like some of the other guys said, having a job is great, but having a career is 10,000 times better. Like I have to go to work today, and I'm happy that I have to go to work. You know? I love going to work, and I'm going to go to work and I'm going to wear pajamas. And we're going to see police officers in pajamas. I'm a police officer in pajamas because what I wear is a onesie. Anybody still have a onesie in here? I wear a onesie when I go to work. So it's a pretty cool job to have. But one of the things I want you guys to know is not only having a career, but those hobbies, right? Everything that you do, for me, everything that I do now is aviation related. Everything that I do is aviation related. I'm not only a police officer, I say, you know what? I have to find a way to make aviation more affordable, find a way to make it more accessible, find a way to bring more black people in aviation, find a way to bring more females into aviation. How can I do that? So, 2014, I started an organization here in New York called New York Metro Black Pilots of America. At the time, I was the vice president of that organization, of that chapter. It's a national organization. I was the vice president at the time. Now I'm the president of New York Metro, and I was newly elected president for national, so for the whole United States. So starting in January, outside of that, I said, you know, I'm going to start a flight school. So now I my own business is in Farmingdale and at Republic Airport, and I started a flight school called Flight King NYC, where now I'm teaching people how to fly. So it's not only that I became that pilot, but I became that pilot, and now my job, my absolute job, is to give back and to make other people see that it's something that you can do as well. So not only did I start the business, but then I went and bought an airplane. So I bought an airplane, then we bought another airplane, and got everybody in the organization, the adults within the organization, got them, afforded them the opportunity to buy airplanes as well. So now there's multiple airplane owners within the community, and we just going from there. So, day to day, what do I do on a day-to-day basis? When I go to work, we have 3 different platforms in the aviation unit. So one platform is called patrol. So we just go on regular patrols. If anything happens, like there's a police chase, if there's a person needs help, if there's maybe we have to take somebody, or take the mayor, or take the police commissioner, or maybe another unit, we have to take them someplace, maybe do photo flights, anything that comes up, we will handle that on patrol. Then we have another section of the aviation unit called QRF, it's Quick Reaction Force. So Quick Reaction Force is any land-based rescue. So if somebody's stuck in a mountain, then we go and help them, we go and pick them up, or take them from the mountain. If anybody is stuck on a cruise ship, we can go out there and get them off the cruise ship. So that helicopter is set up as a medevac. And then we have our last platform, which is called Air Sea Rescue. So this is all water-based rescues. So if somebody's on a boat, the boat's overturned, or somebody's drowning in the water, or a bridge jumper. Believe it or not, there's so many people that want to jump off a bridge. I don't know why, but when I got to the unit, I'm starting to see that there's a lot of people that want to jump off a bridge for whatever reason. So hopefully you guys will never do that, because you're all going to be in careers that you want to be in, and there's going to be no need for you to jump off a bridge. Okay? But anybody know how to swim? That's great, because most black people don't know how to swim. There's 2 things that we say. We say we don't want to swim and we don't want to fly. Right? So I'm glad you guys know how to swim, but who do not know how to swim? Don't know how to swim? Alright, so I'm gonna give you something. Actually not for you, because you don't know how to swim. So the ones that know how to swim. If you guys know how to swim, again, show your hands, you know how to swim. Alright, so you want a free helicopter ride? Yeah. Alright. Don't do this for real. Right? Go to Rockaway Beach, right? Go swim, and when you get further out, far enough out, just act like you're drowning, right? And then I'll come and save you. I'm gonna come and save you. That's gonna give you a free helicopter ride, right? Don't do that real quick. But yeah, so again, we had some of the other speakers mention mentors, right? Mentors are very important. I did not have a mentor, right? And this is probably why these are some of the things that I'm doing now is the reason why I'm doing it, because I want to develop that path so you won't have to go through those same things that I've been through, right? I did not have that mentor to kind of put me on the right path and to show me what to do, so I kind of had to figure it out as I went. But it's my duty to kind of develop those things so you don't have to do the same. And that's kind of my spiel. My job, my life, in a nutshell. Everything I do now is aviation. Any questions?
Thank you so much. No, this is an amazing, it has been an amazing story. And I wish we had some more time for more questions. You don't want questions? Yeah, I know, but we have very little time. 5 minutes for questions, 5 minutes. If we have, we can get him back sometime, or we can communicate with him. But we have to get out of here by 1 o'clock, and we have some other things to do. So, and you have your information?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, I was interested in how did you get into the pilot program that you
How old are you?
Well, I'm 37.
and you want to fly, or is for something for?
No, I was just thinking, do you have it for like teenagers or, you know, kids, more for kids?
Yes, so we do have a program. I actually personally teach in this program. It's a separate organization. It's called Aviation for Us. We have a program that we teach 14 to 19, so 14 years old to 19 years old. In that program, it's 100% free. We take them, we give them a 6-week ground course, and then after that ground course, we actually take you to the airport and give you a flight. And this is 100% free. So one of the things that I would say, if it's free, it's for me, right? Now, most times you hear something for free, like, I don't know if I want to really do it. If I'm not paying for it, then, you know, it might not be good, right? But I will tell you, in the aviation world, it's very expensive. So if you're getting something for free, take it. Definitely take it. So I can leave the information for that course. But that's one of the things that we do. Also, we have the Black Positive America. We have our ground course that's coming up towards the end of this month. It's here in Springfield Gardens. So that's not for younger kids, but we do have other programs and other events and activities that come up through the summer and also during the winter breaks for school. We bring them out to the airport. We have airport days. We have drone operation classes and things of that nature. And one thing with drones, you guys, 16 years old, you can actually become a drone operator and start making money. And some of these real estate companies, construction companies, they'll pay you $200 or $300 for a picture. Now, for the adults in the room, how long does it take to take a picture?
A second.
Seconds? Does anybody in this room make $200 a second? So, you know, you take one picture, boom, you get $200. That's a lot of money, you know, to take a picture. And I'm quite sure that you guys take pictures all the time, you know, on your cell phones and things like that. So if you learn how to operate a drone, then, you know, you can start making money relatively young. And then the last thing I'll leave you with is the type of money that you can make, right? So as a police officer, when I started making about $36,000 a year as a police officer. Now, at this point, as a fully paid police officer, you can make well over $100,000. So, when you're in the police department, you want a cool job in the police department, right? You don't want it to be on the street all the time. So if that's something that you wanted to do, there's about 300 different jobs that you can do within the police department, and it's actually a great job to have. And a lot of other perks come along with that too. So that's something to think about, and the benefits are great as well. So that's something that you want to do. Now, as a pilot in the police department, I do make more money than regular police officers because we get what we call like hazardous duty pay, and we get pilot's pay. So it's a little bit more than a regular police officer. Also, as a pilot on the outside, who's going to work for JetBlue, American Airlines, or some of the regional airline companies, the pilots are making, I wouldn't say a little bit of money, but they start off at maybe $40,000, $50,000 a year, right? As a regional pilot, a first officer, but once you become a captain, you can make well over $400,000 or $500,000 a year. It's a lot of money. Outside of that, owning your own business, because now I have a job, but then I'm also, I'm an entrepreneur as well, so I own my own business, and that money is endless. It's up to you how much money that you want to make. So if you work hard, if you stay true to your passion, you stay true to the people that you're trying to help, you develop a hobby, it's endless the amount of money that you can make, but it's definitely hard work. And the last thing is never, ever, 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 ever be scared to fail. Because if you're scared to fail, you will never be able to progress. You'll never be able to move forward. So take that failure and really figure out what it is that you did wrong, right? And take it, own it, and move forward with it, and you will always succeed if you have those little things in your mind. So, thank you.
That was wonderful. Don't be scared of failure. Take it, own it, move forward. That's what he did. That's what he did. Now he's the pilot. He followed the dream, and he is also an entrepreneur, and he's helping the community. wonderful story. Thank you so much. I hope you are inspired